Dear students, good morning to one and all. Hope you have attended my first session of this subject computer organization. Today we are going to discuss about the second session, that is historical perspective of the computers. So actually what it deals about, now whatever the computers we are using, like Pentium processors or highest generation computers, are the latest models. However, when we talk about the history of these computers, in which year these computers are started working, we need to talk about the generation. So when we want to discuss about this historical perspective of the computers in an elaborate manner, basically 5 or 6 points we need to discuss. First one is the generation. As we are going to discuss about this generation of computers in this session, basically there are 5 computer generations are known till date. We are talking about generation and 5 generations. Based on what we have classified this generation of computers. The generation of computers are classified by using the time period when they are under life. Under life means people are in use of those computers, time period, or you can say era. For example, 1990 era, 1980s, 1970s, like that we used to tell. So based on the era when the computers are being used and the characteristics of the computers and what type of technology being used in those computers and what is the performance of the computers and the processing speed, storage capacity, results accuracy and multitasking ability, versatility, based on all these factors, the computers era, which started in the year 1940s till now, are basically categorized into 5 generations. And as I told you, the classification is based on the 4 prime factors. One is hardware technology, the second one is software technology, the third one is computing time, fourth one is physical appearance. So generation in computer terminology, how we need, see, if we say in generally generation, presently as you are the students, your generation, and there is a gap between you and our generations and our parents' generations and our forefathers' generations, like that. But in computer terminology, how the word generation is defined. So generation in computer terminology is nothing but a change in technology. Nothing but a change in technology that a computer is being used. So initially the generation term was used to distinguish between various hardware technologies. In the olden days, if we want to differentiate the computers between the generations, we need to basically talk in terms of hardware technology only. But nowadays, it is not like that. Both with the hardware and the software changes put together, nowadays the computer systems are getting lot of changes. So if we want to talk the generation difference or the generation gap between the previous computers and current computers, we have to consider not only hardware but also the emerging trends and emerging upgradations that are happening in the software also. So that is nothing but the exact meaning of the generation in computer terminology. So now, as I told you, we have 5 generations of computers. Let us discuss about each and everything by keeping these all points in mind only. Do remember. So this session is very easy session, means there is nothing to understand, there is no logic behind this, only it is purely a theoretical part, comparison of all the 5 generations by keeping these points only. So let us go to the first generation of computers. As I told you, the first point we have to talk about the generation era when these computers are being used. All the computers that are under use in between 1942 and 1954 comes under this first generation. So in this generation, mainly the batch processing operating systems are used. Here I am telling batch processing operating systems. So you know what is the meaning of an operating system, as you have already discussed in the first year itself. But there are different types of operating systems: time sharing, batch processing, multitasking, multi-programming, real-time, etc., etc. But as our syllabus is restricted to only computer organization, and it is not the time to elaborate the types of operating systems which you will be learning, or you may have already learned the types of operating systems. We are not going in detail about this batch processing operating system. So in this generation, vacuum tubes are being used as a hardware part. Vacuum tubes, so they are like very huge in size. Those vacuum tubes are very huge in size. If I show you the image of the first generation computers in the next slide, you will come to know how these vacuum tubes will occupy a room size. So these vacuum tubes are in the form of magnetic drums that are the basic components that are used in the first generation. And see, these tubes are like electric bulbs, produced a lot of heat. These tubes, just like electrical bulbs produce a lot of heat, they also generate a lot of electricity. And moreover, as this is very huge in size, the major disadvantage of this generation of computers is identifying the errors, means debugging. You know very well, error means a bug. Identifying error and rectifying error is a process called as debugging. So that process of debugging is very difficult because of its large in size. And of course, as the vacuum tubes those days in the form of magnetic drums are themselves are very costly, so this generation of computers are also very, very expensive, and they are affordable only by very large organizations but not individuals. I am talking about some of the disadvantages based on the hardware technology. Because of using these vacuum tubes that are in the form of magnetic drums, they are very costly and more expensive. That's why they cannot afford by the single users. So very, very large organizations only are being installed these computers. And in these computers, punched cards, I don't know, you might have not seen. So like small holes will be there in the card system. So whenever there is a letter to be typed in the same shape, the punching will be done on those cards. So those punching cards and paper tapes are used as inputs in this technology, and magnetic tapes are used as outputs. I am repeating, punching cards and paper tapes are used as inputs. We have discussed in the first session that a computer will have 5 components: input, output, processor, storage and control unit, like that. So here the inputs for this computer are punched cards and paper tapes, whereas the output is displayed as printout on magnetic tapes. Output is displayed as printout on magnetic tapes. Even maintaining these punched cards and paper tapes for input, also printing out on magnetic tapes, is also very expensive. And what type of software being used here? The instructions that are written in machine language, you know very well, machine language means zeros and ones, which is very difficult to understand by a normal user. So if you write one word with the combination of zeros and ones itself, you cannot remember it forever. So because there may be many zeros and many ones combination will be there in each instruction. So the instructions were written by using machine language in this type of computers. Okay, so next, computing time or computing characteristic. The computation time means if you give an instruction, how much time it takes to execute that instruction is nothing but the computation time. So it is in milliseconds for this first generation of computers. And you see the physical appearance. Next characteristic we need to discuss is the physical appearance. As I already discussed in the part of hardware technology that is being used, because of that vacuum tubes in the form of magnetic drums, the computer of this first generation is enormous in size and required a large room for installation also. Let us see the pictorial diagram of the first generation computers. You see, a person is sitting and doing some exercise, some programming or whatever it is you say, in front of the computer. The entire system that is shown in the figure in the form of almirahs is itself is a single computer. Don't think that the center one is a computer and the next ones are some almirahs. No. The entire image, what is shown there, is itself is one computer. You can easily see that it is very difficult to install that and very difficult to identify error. By seeing itself, you can come to a self-judgment. So as we have discussed about this, the main advantages and disadvantages of these computers can easily be listed out. That is, one is vacuum tube technology, which is very expensive, and they are unreliable. Unreliable means we don't know at what time and at which place the error may comes, and it is unable to identify the error also. And these computers are very huge in size. Because of the size, mode size, we cannot move them from one place to another place, which is nothing but they are non-portable, and they are very costly also, very high expensive, and they support only machine language which cannot be understood by the normal user, and the input and output device what we are being used also very slow. And as I told you, the vacuum tubes generates lot of heat and they consume more electricity, and definitely if you want to execute any program by using this, we need AC compulsory. Air conditioning is compulsory and debugging is difficult, error identifying and rectifying. And one more major disadvantage, maybe this is not listed out in the screen slide what we are watching. At a time, only one program is being executed in these systems. We can type one program, we can execute that program, and after removing that program, then only the second one will be stored. This is one of the basic and major disadvantages. And some examples of this first gen computers are ENIAC, ADVAC, UNIVAC, IBM 701, IBM 650. Here, for your understanding, I have given the full form of all these types. ENIAC stands for Electronic Numerical Integrated and Computer. ADVAC stands for Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer. UNIVAC, Universal Automatic Computer. IBM stands for International Business Machines. See here, you can ask me, sir, what are these type of different computers? When they were identified, who were invented them? What are the applications of each and everything? See, this subject is not about the various types of computers, generation of computers. So we have to restrict only up to this. And if you need even more information, you can ask me. I will provide the material about each and every type of computer like ENIAC, EDVAC, UNIVAC, IBM, when they are developed, who developed, what are the applications, what is the image. What I have shown is a general image, but every computer, every type of computer listed out here having their own images. So that's why we are moving to the next generation, that is second generation of the computers. See, the second generation period is between 1952 to 1964. So in that 50s era, 1952 to 1964 era, these second generation computers were in use, and like the first generation, these second generation computers also using batch processing operating system along with multi-programming operating systems. Means this second generation are supporting not only batch processing, also multi-programming OS. This is the one of the slight difference between the first gen and the second gen. When you come to the hardware technology, instead of the vacuum tubes which are huge in size, the transistors are replaced in these second gen computers. So obviously there is a lot of size difference between a vacuum tube and the transistors. So they are very smaller and also faster. They are very cheap when you compare with the vacuum tubes, more compact in size, and when you talk about the power energy also, they consume very less power, also more reliable. So the second generation computers are somewhat better than the first gen. Of course, there are its own disadvantages, we will discuss later. And in this second generation computers, magnetic tapes, magnetic disks are used as for secondary storage. Okay, magnetic core technology means magnetic tapes and magnetic disks means magnetic core technology is used in this for storing the data. And the inputs are just like punched cards only, like first gen. There is no change in the inputs. Whereas output is printouts. Output is printouts on papers. Okay, they use the concept of stored programming. I told you, they use concept of stored programming. How it is different from the first gen? First gen, we store one program, we execute only one program, and after removing that, then only the second program will be start executed. Whereas in the second generation, because of the magnetic core technology being used as secondary storage or primary storage, some programs also can be stored, but they are also restricted to certain limits. Means the memory capacity of the second generation is not that much huge when you compare with the current technology and current trends. So, and this is the hardware part, what being used in the second generation. Now coming to the software technology. What software is using here? So here some assembly language and some of the machine level or basic high level programming language are being used. Assembly language is used thoroughly 100%, and some of the basic high level language programs like Fortran, I think formula translation is one of the computer language which is used in the initial days. Initial days means, please remember, even when I studied my UG and PG also, I used this formula translation, Fortran 77 language for programming. And COBOL, common business oriented language. COBOL also we have studied in our PG in MCA. So these are the basic programming languages being used in the software technology of the second generation. And of course, because of using assembly language and basic LO language, it is somehow easier to write the instructions as compared in the machine language. Because if you want to write a program in machine language, you have to write only in terms of zeros and ones, no other language. Whereas in the high level language or the assembly level language, we use some mnemonics, means that are in the form of English language. So that's why it is little bit easy to write the programs by you in this second generation. And what is its computing time? That is milliseconds. Remember, it is in microseconds. So there is some differently faster second generation computers than the first generation. And physical appearance, how it looks like. Obviously, instead of using the vacuum tubes, because we are using transistors, definitely the size is reduced relatively when we compare with the first gen computers. You see the image in the second gen, it is looks like a table based. So but nowadays if you compare the laptops or desktops what we are using, this is also huge in size only, because the entire table is used for computer. So here down you can see there are group of wires which are nothing but transistors or something else. On the above you can see the screen that is entering the program, executing, etc., display, output and input like. The main features are summarized here. Use of transistors, reliable as compared with the first generation computers, and also smaller in size as compared to the first generation. They generate less heat and consume less electricity, faster than the first generation. Please remember, faster than the first generation, and consume less electricity compared to first generation. Generate less heat compared to first, means we are comparing this with the first generation. They are somehow better than first one, but still there are disadvantages. Okay, what are the disadvantages? Still, even though size is less, they are costly, and again AC is compulsory, AC is required. So these two are the major disadvantages of this second gen. And some of the computers of this generation are IBM 1620, IBM 7094. So here, see, IBM means it's not our Ibrahim. Okay, I told you the abbreviation of IBM in the first generation of the computers. Yes. So the next one is CDC 1604, CDC 3600, where the CDC stands for Control Data Corporation, and UNIVAC, Universal Computer, which we have discussed in the first gen, UNIVAC 1108. These are some of the examples for the second gen computers. Now let us discuss about the third gen. The third gen period is during 1960s, means 1964 to 1972. And here, see, the previous one we are using transistors. Here we are using integrated circuits, ICs. What do you mean by IC? An IC is nothing but combination of multiple transistors, means many number of transistors put together and connected with each other using some electrical wires and forms as ICs. So if you use a single IC, means multiple transistors are being used, and along with the transistors we also use resistors and capacitors with an associated circuitry. With the help of electronic circuit, we use transistors, resistors, capacitors in the form of a IC. And these ICs initially are invented by Jack Kilby. The scientist Jack Kilby identified these ICs with the combination of these transistors, resistors and capacitors. These ICs are placed on a silicon chip. Silicon chip is nothing but it's a type of semiconductor. It's a type of semiconductor. So because on single IC we are able to place more transistors, resistors, capacitors. Definitely it is lesser size when you compare with the second generation also. And what is the software technology we are using? Here previously for inputting and outputting we are using some magnetic discs and magnetic drums, and say for example punched cards, etc., etc. But here the keyboard and monitor are comes into the execution for this third generation. So keyboard and monitor were used to interact with the third generation computers. So keyboard is used as input and monitor is used as the output. The punched cards, printouts interfaced through the operating system and all gone. And here the operating system what we are using is remote processing, time sharing, real time, multi-programming. See how the trend is keep on increasing. In the first generation we are being used only batch processing. In the second one, along with batch processing, we have used multi-programming operating systems. In this third generation, these computers are interfaced by using remote processing, time sharing, real time and multi-programming operating systems. Again, I am here sticking on only names of the operating systems. I am not going to elaborately discuss about all these types of operating systems. If I am not wrong, you might have already learned the various types of operating systems in the third unit of your fundamentals of computer science in the first year itself. So with the help of these different types of operating systems, this third generation computers allows different applications to run at same time. So you know time sharing. Yes, time sharing means many number of applications can be used. Multi-programming, remote processing. So they are better for running more programs at a single time. Okay, and what type of languages are being used? Obviously, high-level languages. High-level language means, see, in the previous one I told you Fortran. Here also we use Fortran, but the difference is there Fortran version 1 is used there. Here Fortran version 2, Fortran version 3, Fortran version 4 and advanced COBOL, and along with those two we have a Pascal programming language, basic program, ALGOL 68. This Pascal, Basic, ALGOL are next to the Fortran 1 and COBOL initial version. So that's why there are improved versions of or improved types of high-level languages are used in these third-gen computers extensively. And its computing characteristics. Computing means how much time it takes to execute an instruction. First one, remember, milliseconds. Second one, microseconds. This one is in terms of nanoseconds. So the speed keep on increasing to one generation to the another generation. And what is its physical appearance? Definitely, there one transistor are used. Here on single IC, multiple transistors along with resistors and capacitors being used. These generation of computers are quite small. You can see that in the screen now, in the slide now. Of course, we say box type of computers these. I don't know whether you have seen these computers also or not, but we have seen these type of computers. Means, see, this third generation of computers we have used, and the programming language like Fortran, COBOL, second generation of language we have used. And the main features of this third gen are integrated chips are used. They are more reliable. They are small in size. They generate less heat and faster and efficient compared to the remaining previous two generations. And its maintenance is very less. They support high-level languages. They consume less electricity, but still there is a disadvantage must be, that is AC still required to run these computers. See, you can see in olden days, if you want to establish a computer lab or whatever it is, must be AC. If there is no AC, the computers will keep on, will go for the repairing. Nowadays, the 5th gen computers, what we are using, desktops or laptops, what even without AC at any high level temperature also they are being used. That's why this AC requirement become one of the major disadvantages of the third gen computers. And what are the various examples of these third gen computers are IBM 360 series and IBM 370 by 168, Honeywell 6000 series, PDP stands for Personal Data Processors, TDC 316, where TDC stands for Torpedo Data Computer. Torpedo Data Computer. So these are the various examples of the third gen computers. Now next move on to the fourth gen. See, the third gen period is ended with 1972, where 1972 onwards, 1970s, the fourth gen up to 1990. So the period of the fourth generation was 1972 1990. So even still by the year 1972, even myself also was not born. Okay. So hardware technology that is used in this fourth generation is LSI and VLSI. You know what is LSI and VLSI. Otherwise, let me discuss about those two. LSI stands for large scale integration and VLSI stands for very large scale integration technologies. So these two technologies are used here. So due to which, because of these two technologies, thousands of transistors are integrated on a small chip. Previously, ICs are there with, I told you, multiple number of transistors. Here, because of this LSI and VLSI technology, thousands of transistors are integrated on a small chip. Again, the sizes come down. So, because of this era is marked by the development of microprocessors. I think you might have learned about or known about, if not learned, known about 8085, 8086, 80186, 80286, like that 80586 microprocessors. So this fourth generation era resembles the microprocessors, which are nothing but a chip containing millions of transistors and components. These microprocessors, collection of chips that contains millions of transistors and components, and these are designed, I told you, by using the LSI and VLSI technology. From this fourth generation onwards, we are calling these computers as personal computers. Personal computers means an individual also can be able to buy or can afford to buy a computer. So that's why personal, by person, if you can own, this is called as a personal computer. So from the fourth gen onwards, we are treating the computers as personal computers. And what software technologies are used? Obviously, advanced technologies. The operating system what we are using is MS-DOS and MS Windows. And these are called as new operating systems that were developed at that time. And also one of the major advantages of this is this generation of computers supports GUIs. What is GUI? Graphical User Interface. Before that, generation of computers uses CUI, Character User Interface. So what do you mean by graphical user interface? So GUI, it is a user-friendly interface. It is a user-friendly interface that allows the user to interact with the computer via menus and icons. See, nowadays if you want to load, means install a software, you need not to do anything. Simple next, attend, finish. Whenever you need to select something, there are drop-down boxes and some buttons will be there, you are going to select. Nothing you do. So the software installation and everything is very easy from the 4th gen computers. So that type of softwares, if you are going to use, they are called as GUIs, Graphical User Interfaces. They are very user friendly. It is very easy to learn those GUIs. And the programming language that are used here is high level. High level means now it is come to your part. The language what you have learned, C, C++, DBase, etc. are used in the 4th gen computers. And these are used to write programs. I think you know very well how to write a program using C language or C++ language. And as I told you, time sharing operating systems, real-time operating systems, distributed operating systems are supported, and one more advantage here is networking concepts also introduced here. Networking concept, whenever networking concepts are introduced here, obviously these 4th gen computers onwards, internet is being supported, and its computing time is in picoseconds, which is even very less, very smaller than the previous nanoseconds. Milli, micro, nano and picoseconds. The physical appearance is obviously very smaller because millions of transistors are under one chip. So sometimes they can be carried by using our hand also. So the main features, if you once again go through for the 4th generation, they are VLSI technology used, very cheap. They are portable, means can be movable from one place to another place, and they are reliable, and a very small size. They are used as personal computers, and concept of internet was introduced here, and major disadvantage, no AC is required to execute. I told you, previous 3 generations AC is must, but here no AC is required, and great developments in the field of networking. Of course, pipelining processing also is being introduced. What is pipelining processing? We will learn the concept of pipelining in the 5th unit of this subject only. And these computers become very easy to available. And what are some of the computers here? So here, DEC 10, Digital Equipment Corporation, Star 1000, Scientific Technology and Research, PDP 11 stands for Programmer Data Processor, and the last line somehow it is missed here in the screen, not visible. Cray 1, Cray XMP, these are called as supercomputers. You can see the the image of the 4th gen computers. Definitely you might have seen this, and there is a difference between the appearance, physical appearance of this computer and the 3rd gen computer. And then next, go to the last but not least, the 5th gen computers. There is no end for this. Its development still going on, like majorly the 5th gen generation computers changing not only with the changes in the hardware, also with the change of the software, because there are different types of operating systems are now being used, like even your whatever the cell phones are using Android. Like some systems are being installed Ubuntu operating system, etc., etc. There are different types of software emerging trends are there. So because of that also, this 5th generation are still going on. There is no full stop is kept for the 5th generation. Everywhere comma is there. So the goal of this 5th generation of computing is to develop computers that are capable of learning and self-organizing. What do you mean by learning and self-organizing? So the instructions will be generated by the computer. So where it is happening, this technique is called as artificial intelligence. So 5th generation computers are being used a technology called as artificial intelligence. And the hardware what we are using in this are SLSI and ULSI. What do you mean by SLSI? You know, LSI, large scale integrated. Here SLSI stands for super large scale integrated chips, and ULSI, it is nothing but the VLSI technology becomes ULSI, where it is there it is called as a very large scale, here it is called as ultra large scale. So LSI becomes super large. Once there is super large, there is nothing meaning for very, that's why VLSI is become as ULSI, ultra large scale integration. So these SLSI and ULSI technologies are used in these 5th gen computers. This generation is based on parallel processing hardware and AI softwares. And what languages are being used here? Previously we told 4th gen C and C++. Definitely in 5th gen also C and C++ along with Java, .NET, or whatever. Now the language you are learning, Python programming, Oracle, SAP. There are so many other packages, SRP packages are, SAPs are there. All those software high-level languages are being used in the 5th gen computers. .NET also is used in this. Now when you come to this 5th gen computers summary, AI, artificial intelligence. What AI applications? You know very well, robotics. Now the emerging technology, current trend, robotics, neural networks, game playings. You are very much familiar about playing a lot of computer games than us. And expert systems, natural language understanding and generation. These are the various types of artificial intelligence techniques. The main features of this 5th gen are ULSA technology, ultra large. ULSA stands for ultra large scale. Development of true AI and natural language processing, and advancement in superconductor technologies. They are more user friendly. As I told you, GUIs, graphical user interface are there previously. The same is transferred to this also. User friendly interface with multimedia features. You know, there are many multimedia features are being used, like your Photoshop, etc., mixing of videos, photos, etc., and availability of very powerful and compact computers at cheaper rates. Because of the technology, because of the generation, because of the product is being increased, the computers rates also comes down. That's why nowadays, rather than purchasing a cell mobile, it is very easy to buy a desktop. Okay, so some of the computer types of this generation are desktops, laptops, notebooks, ultrabook, etc., etc. Now these are the in trending. You know, desktop, which is kept on your table. Laptop can be moved by keeping in bag everywhere. Notebook, just like a small size, like your small notebook, not even a full size of A4. It's half of the A4 maybe. Ultrabook, even more less. You can see the picture with a thin monitor and very small CPU. Sometimes nowadays in the 5th generation, there are some computers are coming without CPUs also. Works under remote. So only one server will be there. To that server, all the monitors are being connected. The data will be captured from the servers and will be stored in the servers like that. So like this, the trend is keep on going. So still the technology, hardware technology and software technology are become more advanced to add some important features, some more features to these 5th gen computers. Okay, so this ends with the generation of computers or historical perspective of the computers. See, in this slide, I have shown you a comparative table of the 5 generations. I'm sorry, because there is a huge data is need to be produced in one screen. You are unable to visible this, but I will try to put the same document in the WhatsApp group of your BTech second year. You all can download that. So with this one sheet, if you keep with you, whatever the topic we have discussed now, you will get entire topic, means everything, era, inputs, outputs, hardware, software, technology being used, and advantages, disadvantages, what are the operating systems are used. Everything is put in the single slide, so that tomorrow or by today evening, after you complete listening this class, I will put it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, thank you one and all for listening carefully. Dear students, as you know very well, for few more days, maybe few more months, as per the instructions of the JNUK, we need to go for online teaching method only. That's why I request you all once again to be careful and to attend all the online sessions, for which the same attendance will be considered and need to be posted every week to the university. And if any students are not yet started attending the previous classes, maybe mine is a second class, but other subjects, if you see, 3-4 classes might have already completed. because from 17th onwards, I think online classes were started. You ask them to join in the group if they are not yet, and ask them to start registering the online classes. Okay, and as usual, as I have told you in the previous session, whatever the doubts you have, you can call me or WhatsApp me to the number, or you can mail me to the given mail ID. Okay, thank you one and all. This is the end of session 2, which is computer organization subject, first unit of 5 and first part of 3 parts, and topic number 2. In our next session, we will discuss about the third topic of the part 1 of unit 1, which is nothing but bus structure. So what is a bus, and what are the applications of buses, etc. Okay, thank you one and all.